Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Federation of Seed Industry of India Leadership Talk Webinar Series, Episode 1. My name is Surbi Jajodia, and I'm the Communications Manager at the Federation of Seed Industry of India. We are super excited to have you join us for this special session on innovation for transformation of agri-food systems and agenda for Amrit Kaal. To begin the event, it's my honor to invite Mr. Ajai Rana, Chairman of the Federation of Seed Industry of India and MD and CEO of Savannah Seeds, to deliver the welcome address. Please, over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Namaskar. So, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Paroda. So, welcome everyone. On behalf of Federation of Seed Industry of India, I once again welcome all the participants. I'll quickly introduce FSII. FSII, Federation of Seed Industry of India. We have 50 member companies. All these member companies are leading R&D based seed companies, large Indian as well as multinational companies. Our main objective, we work with all the stakeholder, including in fact like public sector, for promoting new technology and innovation in the field of agriculture with the innovation in seed technologies. Our member companies have played a very important role in the introduction of new seed technologies. For example, BT cotton, single cross hybrid corn, hybrid rice, various vegetable, new varieties and hybrids in vegetables, mustard, millets, sorghum. So member companies work on, in fact, like all leading agriculture crops in India, including field crops as well as vegetables. If you look at our country, we have made huge progress in food production, from where we have started like 75 years ago. And today now we are self-sufficient, in fact, like self-reliant in majority of the crops except oil seeds. And India has also emerged as a major exporter of food grains. We became #1 exporter of rice a few years ago. But having said that, if you look at our population, current population of 1.4 billion, as well as the export opportunities India has for food, all the major food crops, we have still, I'll say, like a long way to go to reach the productivity levels of world best. In majority of the crop, we are at the world average or maybe even below world average. And seed plays a very important role in the production and the productivity of any crop. Our member company, they invest a lot of R&D investment for the development of new hybrid varieties, new technologies. And it is our endeavor that we work with the public sector policymakers to create a policy environment which encourages more investment in R&D. Having said all this, FSI has started this leadership talk series, and where we are looking at inviting the leading agriculture scientists, I'll say the leaders in the field. And today, to begin with, in fact, like we are honored to have Dr. Raj S Paroda with us today. With this, I'll hand it over to Dr. Kaundinya, Kaundinya, our colleague. He will he will introduce our speaker and take the program forward. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Ajay. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Dr. Paroda.
Good morning.
Dr. Paroda doesn't really need an introduction, and if I try to do it, it will be like showing a candle to the sun. So I will not attempt it for too long. I'll just very briefly mention the well-known facts. Dr. Rajendra Paroda is a renowned scientist and a research administrator. He is an acclaimed agricultural scientist specializing in plant genetics and breeding. His contributions in plant breeding and genetic resource management are globally recognized. and include establishing the first modern national gene bank in India, the NBPGR. He has received numerous awards, including the Norman Borlaug Award and the MS Swaminathan Award, and is globally recognized for his contributions to agriculture. He also was awarded Padma Bhushan for modernizing Indian agricultural research system. A former Director General of ICAR and Secretary of DARE, Dr. Paroda modernized India's agricultural research system and created over 30 national institutions and launched the National Agricultural Technology Project. The resultant innovations helped in doubling of food grain production from 130 million tons in 1980 to 260 million tons in 2011, underpinning food security for a rapidly growing population. Dr. Paroda established one of the world's largest national gene banks, NBPGR, and initiated the National Agricultural Science Center, NASC complex in New Delhi. Dr. Paroda headed a committee appointed by the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India in 2019, and I was fortunate enough to be a member of that committee. This committee submitted a report on policies and action plans for secure and sustainable agriculture in August 2019. Dr. Paroda currently serves on influential boards like the International Fertilizer Development Center, and he is the founder chairman of TAAS, which provides a thought leadership and policy advocacy work in agriculture, and doing some wonderful work. He is the founder chairman of TAAS. He focuses on linking science to society through policy advocacy. So that's Dr. Paroda, and thanks to you, sir, for honoring us with your presence today and delivering the first lecture under this series. Welcome to you and welcome to all the other participants once again. Now I hand it over to Dr. Paroda.
Go ahead.
Hi, sir. Very warm welcome. Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. Before we proceed to the main talk, I would like to share some general house rules for today's session to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. Please keep your microphones on mute during the session to avoid any background noise. If you have any questions during the talk, please type them in the chat box. You may like to introduce yourself by sharing your name and organization in the same message as of your question to avoid any confusion. We shall address them during the Q&A session. Thank you for your cooperation. Well, now it's time for the highlight of today's talk. We are honored to have with us Padma Bhushan Dr. R. S. Paroda, the founder chairman of Trust for Advancement of Agricultural Sciences. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to all of you on today, International Yoga Day. My best wishes for mental and physical health and happiness. It's indeed a matter of great privilege for me to participate in this leadership webinar being organized by FSII. So I would like to congratulate Dr. Ajai Rana, Dr. Kaundinya, Dr. Sampath Kumar, and all other colleagues from FSII to have taken this initiative. The subject of my discussion today is on innovations and transformation of agri-food systems. As we now talk about Amrit Kaal and to celebrate our 100th year of independence in 2047, we should try to see as to what would be the future scenario and what reorientation is required. In that context, when we look at, we see that India will have to be a Viksit Bharat. That's what is the goal. We would be aiming to become Atmanirbhar, and we should think in terms of local to global, which means not only taking care of our own requirement, but also to capture global market in agriculture, reduce import on major commodities like pulses, oilseeds, and fertilizers, and also ensure by 2030 a 1 trillion economy that is being proposed. As far as the context is concerned, I don't have to tell more. Ajai Rana had already mentioned from Bengal famine, the year when I was probably born, to that of begging bowl status, and now to an era of self-sufficiency. We are taking care of 146 million farm holdings. 86% of those farmers are smallholders with less than 2 hectares. Agriculture till today is contributing about 15 to 17%. We will have to make it to 20% and see that this challenge is uh, taken care of by all of us jointly. And agriculture sector is still providing the employment to the largest population of our country to a level of almost 45%. When we look at the green revolution, you would agree that much has been accomplished to have household food security. We also had white, blue, and rainbow revolutions. All these facts are known to you, so I don't want to again just laud what we had achieved in the past, but we have to see as to what we need to do more. But from an importing country, we even have been exporting now the food grains to the level of 20 million tons. We have reduced our poverty from 17 to almost 11%. Our food stock once almost 100 million in 2000 June 2022, and horticulture production has excelled even that of the food grain production. We are the largest producers of milk, pulses, tea, spices, jute, banana, second largest in wheat, rice, fruits, vegetables, sugarcane. We are among the top 7 exporting countries today, fetching the to the exchequer about US dollar 55 billion. We would like to make it to 100 billion and next 1 decade or so, and uh, we would like to be also first among the 5 countries for agriculture uh, export globally. However, we have our challenges which we have to address if we have to be more secure and sustainable. And for that, major issues were discussed and debated only last year, where I had opportunity to participate and address the gathering of chief agricultural scientists from G20 countries. The major recommendations which have emerged are relevant and which we should take into account. Urgency to achieve SDGs and Paris Agreement. Time actually is now very short. Greater thrust on science and innovation and technology. Emphasis on food systems. So it is not now only production, but we have to go for post-production system. We must build a strong partnership. National system, government system alone will not be able to deliver. So private sector has to come forward. Motivating the youth in agriculture is another challenge, and their role has to be recognized. We will have to think of knowledge platforms for policy advocacy because there are concerns for policy paralysis, and funding for agriculture research for development has to be at least doubled, if not tripled. When we come to sustainable development goals, we see that we have to decide what future we will have and what future we should have. And for that, we must make sure that there is no poverty in the country. When we are celebrating 100th year, we have the zero hunger, and there is climate action to guard against all adversities that we are noticing currently. We would also require economic access to food for the poor people who are around 150 million. And India somehow, uh, unfortunately, has the highest concentration of malnourished children below 5 years of age, which are 40 million. And this challenge should not be ignored at any stage as we move forward. Indian agriculture now and for next 25 years, for food grain, we will have to produce almost 70% more. Fruit, vegetable, we will have to double. Milk availability, which already is quite good, 400 grams per person, but the target is to make sure that we have 1 kg. Farm mechanization, labor is not available, so more precision farming. Post-harvest losses will have to be reduced substantially. Water and nutrient use efficiency is another challenge that will have to be taken care of, and we must double our export as we move forward. When we look at the Paris Agreement, thanks to our national leader in Glasgow, COP26, the nationally determined contribution was uh, fixed much higher than what otherwise is expected from different countries at 2020 level for the 3 targets, that is reduction in emission intensity. We seem to be doing quite well there, and clean energy by non-fossil fuel sources, whether it is biofuel or whether it is solar energy or it is wind energy. We are globally quite advanced and likely to achieve these targets. But major concern is about additional carbon sink, and that has to come from either forest or from agriculture. And the target is 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent, which I see is a major challenge to be met. And forest cover will not be increased beyond 25%, which is presently, because it is static at 25% for last 2 decades. Uh, the only option for building carbon sink is through agriculture. And that's where I see great future and effort that would be needed on conservation agriculture and agroforestry. Need also is there to make our 45% dryland areas green. We call dryland areas as gray areas. We have to make them green, like Green Revolution made the green belt much greener. And we have to also restore the degraded lands, which are 26 million hectares. There are second generation problems of Green Revolution. You all are aware there is factor productivity decline. Land holdings are getting less and less. Soil health concern, water table and water quality, nutrient imbalance, costly inputs, more diseases and pests, lack of availability of labor, and overall farm profitability is getting declined. And there appears to be also complacency at the level of our policy makers that probably in India, we scientists seem to have already produced enough. So maybe there is no such challenge or need to be taken care of. But looking at these challenges, what is the way forward? And way forward is only through reorienting Indian agriculture. Business as usual will not work, and we will have to think globally and act locally. We will have to harness science for new gains. New science offers opportunities, whether it is ICT, big data, bioinformatics, GM crops, genome editing, or use of uh, you know, drones, robotics, artificial intelligence, farm mechanization for precision agriculture, and for eco-regional sustainability to think in terms of improved soil health. Uh, that's where One Health concept is being talked about, and environmental sustainability is another option. We have these new opportunities, but how to make use of them efficiently and effectively in agriculture, not only for the scientific advancements, but also for providing the services to the farmers to economize in terms of their use of inputs, and that's where again we will require more trained youth which are competent enough to provide private extension services to the farmers. We need a paradigm shift now, having been giving a lot of indicator of whether the emphasis there on now not only publications but innovations that can benefit the end users more effectively, and through patents and through intellectual property right. And when you look at, we seem to be moving ahead with 55,000 patents filed in 22, but compared to that of USA and see China, China is even one 3 times higher than USA in terms of patent filing. So we need a paradigm shift, and as soon as we do it, better it is. And for that, we know those countries who have laid greater emphasis on capital investment for science to progress and have better innovations reaching farmers, they have progressed much faster. For any achievement, we have to also realize what had been the factors of success in the past. When I asked Dr. Norman Borlaug that what do you think green revolution could not be achieved in Africa, where you are now working for more decades, but in mid 60s or late 60s, we had green revolution in India. His answer was that you need political will, which is lacking mostly in Africa, still today. You need institutions and human resource. From where to get Indian Agriculture Research Institute or National Dairy Research Institute or Veterinary Research Institute or these universities which have now come up in India. And where is the competent human resource like Dr. Swaminathan? And where are the progressive farmers who are willing to spend once they know the technology is good for them? And then we need also partnership, which used to be there before and is still there, but it needs to be further revisited and re-strengthened in terms of our association with international centers. So institutions become important. The National Agriculture Research System in India is one of the strongest ones, fortunately, when you compare with many other developing countries, Philippines, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, also Sri Lanka. They try to replicate the model of ICAR as a national system, but could not succeed to achieve the same status which we provided for our leader in agriculture research to become also secretary to the government of India and be a decision maker and a policy maker. When we have this system, now the threat is, and as we move forward to our what we call is Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need to nurture it. We have to guard it, guard against the challenges that are there. People are already talking that it is unmanageable, unwieldy, and it should be put to its size and make more efficient. Don't realize that without these institutions, green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution would have not been possible. And therefore, this is also one threat which has to be taken care of. But how to take care of it? Because we know that maximum returns are there from investment in agriculture. As against 1 rupee, this is a recent study by National Institute on Economics and Policy Research, you get more than 13.85 rupees back. And earlier also, World Bank and FAO have come out with their studies of any return anywhere between 10 to 15. But when we look at the investment over the last, I would say, decade, and so is almost static, which means we are stuck up at around 8,500 crores over the last one decade. Uh, this is an issue which requires to be discussed, debated, and taken care of. We must nurture our national system, without which possibly the challenges that we are facing and would not be addressed properly. USA, Australia spent 3% of their agricultural GDP, South Africa 2%, Brazil 1.5%, China double than us, and we are stuck up for almost last 3 decades at 0.4%. Also, we need to now have a reorientation of our agriculture research strategy. The Global Conference on Agriculture Research for Development, which GFAR and CGIR, when I was with GFAR, we organized in 2010 in Montpellier. Many important messages came forward. One was, which I have already said, that we have to now lay greater emphasis on agriculture research for innovation. And also that has to be mainly addressed to meet the needs of smallholder farmers, not otherwise. So smallholder farmers should be in focus. Research needs to be reoriented from crop and commodity to that of farming systems mode, and then also funding on ARD be increased, doubled to even tripled. And we now have the opportunity to build public-private partnership and also involvement of youth, without which further progress may not be possible. Farmer first. कहते तो हम आए हैं कि हिंदुस्तान में ये भारत एक कृषि प्रधान देश है, और हमने कृषक को प्रधान अभी तक नहीं बनाया. And this itself is one, I hope by the time we celebrate our 100th year, maybe I may not be alive by then, but we will see that farmer is really in the center stage. Center stage through assuring his security by providing healthy soils, good water, timely supply of inputs, sharing of good knowledge, because he is starving of knowledge, and that's what he needs today rather than subsidies. Access to credit at low interest rate, and we need to link him to the market so that there is less of exploitation by the middleman, and we must see that agriculture gets the kind of respect and dignity which we need in the society. So farmer first, agriculture today has better respect than when I even joined agriculture as a student. And people laughed at me when I preferred to go in agriculture. But today it is much dignified, but we have to make it more dignified for youth in agriculture who will be working and tilling the soil to make a difference. And for that, we will require now a shift again, another strategy that is not to be unipillar, which helped us in the past of genetic enhancement or varietal improvement or hybrid technology. But now the time has come when emphasis has to be on natural resource management. So improving the farmer's income by increasing productivity, by also conserving the natural resources and reducing the cost on inputs, and by linking the farmer to the market. To make farmer more secure and sustainable, we would require also agricultural diversification, and need to provide farmers secondary and specialty agriculture options, which are now emerging in a great quantum. Paradigm shift also is required from not only more and more of input use. Sometimes people, even our economic survey had once mentioned 2 years back that probably green revolution technology was exploitative technology of inputs. Uh, Maybe they are right to say now, but if the inputs were not used at that time, probably we would have not been able to save our uh, increasing population, which we are adding 1 Australia every year. So input use efficiency becomes important, and it is not now an issue of only production. It is also issue of production to post-production through value chain. And we must now consolidate also the gains for which we would require policy support. I will come to it later. And key areas to be addressed, again, not crops only, but natural resource management, livestock fisheries, and post-harvest. And these areas have not received the similar support as was given earlier to crops or horticultural crops. So proportionate allocation, like livestock contributes about 30% to agricultural GDP, but the investment is even not 8% or so. So these are the issues which need to be corrected as quickly as possible to move towards future successes, and we have to make our growth much faster. Uh, Currently is ranging between 3 to 4%. If we have to have 8% growth of national level, then at least in agriculture, we must make sure that we are not below 5% of our agricultural growth. And we have several opportunities for scaling innovations, about which I talked before. Sky is the limit. ICT for knowledge management. That's where private sector is already playing some role, but more aggressive role can be if there is public-private partnership there. Hybrid technology, I will talk about these: biotechnology, conservation agriculture, protected cultivation, micro irrigation, biofuel, bioenergy, biofortified crops. All these are there, which were not before. And now for the next 25 years, as we move forward, possibly we will have to capitalize these more efficiently and quickly. ICT in agriculture, digital agriculture would be now important as we move forward, and it has to be not the access uh, in terms of income equality, but access must be even to the most resource poor farmer in terms of whatever information and knowledge is concerned. And we will need also innovations which are disruptive. Disruptive means more from less for more. And that's what is the option in agriculture already. The Green Revolution was the disruptive innovation. From less, we produce for more. And technologies like single cross maize hybrid, about which mention was made before, we didn't have this. When we started thinking of and starting in hybrid project on 9 crops, USA was already harvesting almost 7 tons, and we were stuck up at 1 ton. And our total production was never higher than 10 million tons. After we came out with our single cross hybrids, private sector wanted enabling environment through new seed policy and also the uh, protection of their plant varieties. So we brought in Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act in 2001. And they then also came up with their own hybrids. And what happened? Just in 2.5 decades, our production is more than 3.5 times. This is what can happen. And highest growth today in cereal crop is in maize, which is more than 4%. And maize has all the future in Eastern India, as well as in the North, where diversification of wheat and rice is being talked about. Note that we started research on hybrid rice in 1964, which means almost 20 years ago. And in 1976, hybrid rice was released in 10 years' time. And since 1976, they are harvesting more than 1 ton per hectare just by one technology. We came out with our own hybrid rice technology by the beginning of the new millennium, but the coverage today is only 3.8 million hectare. I understand now there are good hybrids even by Savannah seeds, and there is a great enthusiasm among farmers in Punjab and Haryana to raise their productivity using this technology. BT cotton, we were spending 50% of our pesticide that time, 60,000 tons of active ingredient only on cotton, and many suicides were taking place, and our production was less. We were importing. This one technology has made wonders. I don't have again time to go into the details of it, but as you know, we became world leader in cotton. We became exporter in cotton. We have reduced our pesticide consumption in cotton by 40%. And but then future for GM crops, maize, soybean, canola, all there. Recently, government also released canola, but or the mustard, what you can mention, and we are still not able to harness the potential of it because there are anti-GM lobby people on the street, and scientists don't have the courage to encounter and convince the public that this is in our national interest. Area under hybrids, when we say that maize can give us high productivity, then why we are still having coverage of hybrid in maize in 6 to 60%? Why only 8% in case of rice? In China, it is 50%. Our area is more than even China. And so far, area what we covered was for the rain-fed rice area, not for irrigated rice. So opportunities are now emerging for that. And for bajra, also, we are not sure how much area. I'm told 40 to 45% area is covered. In cotton, again hybrid, but again, because of the technology and the support of the private sector and the great trust given on it, we have 95% coverage. Coming to climate change, agriculture is also considered to be a problem to the extent of 30% contributions of greenhouse gas emissions. Agriculture by itself, around 13%, by livestock, raising, fertilizers, and rice cultivation, and from land use, degradation of land, forest land where we have deforestation, and also burning of biomass are the issues. But post-harvest losses also result into 6% of greenhouse gas emission. So we have to see that through climate smart agriculture now, we try to address these concerns and see that these expected losses which we are there already realized to the 10 to 15% in different crops are minimized. For that, if it comes to the genetic wealth, our agro biodiversity is very rich, whether it is tree or grasses or crops or livestock. The most unique livestock breeds are with us in this country. And if the greenhouse gas emissions are there from bovine animals, then it is because we are not taking good care of their feed, fodder, and housing management. 67% of the cost for the dairy sector is only on feed, fodder. And if you do better housing, they also need, like us, cooling, uh, the air through fans or sprinklers for their, uh, getting washed, uh, and a better housing construction can result into reduction of greenhouse gases. So these would be required. We also have to see that we go in for conservation agriculture. Conservation agriculture, thanks that we started this program for rice wheat system. And now we have about 3.5 million hectare area and machines available and the technology available. But then why it cannot be increased to potential area of 10 million hectare in Indo-Gangetic plains is another issue which would require attention. And the globally, when we look at the uh, conservation agriculture has succeeded mainly in the drylands of side, then there is hardly any plant which survived. So there are options now, but globally, among the use of chemicals, it is herbicides which is higher. In India, it is the use of pesticides and fungicides which is higher, even than herbicides. And there are safe herbicides, but I think we have not been able to capture on this option. Irrigation. We have created great potential of irrigation, highest dam, very long canal, Indira Gandhi Canal, Bhakra Dam, and potential increase, but efficiency of this has to be improved. Now there are uh, criticisms that canal irrigation is not efficient, and we have to make the lining of them. We must have also the drainage system along them as it is in the most advanced countries. And we will have to also go in for stopping flood irrigation and go in for micro irrigation. Micro irrigation emphasis was started almost around 25 years ago, but the coverage so far is only 8 million hectares. So as against 60, we have been able to create the potential of 73 out of 140 million hectares. We need to accelerate this. And if we stop flood irrigation and go in for micro irrigation, probably we'll be able to raise it to 80 to 90 million hectare. And that's what we should aim by 2047. We have approaches, we have technologies. Even we never thought of subsurface drain system for rice wheat system and uh, capturing water through water harvesting and having energy through solar for using these uh, water pumps for agriculture. These potentials will in future will lead to precision farming and also assure income to the farmer. Coming to the nutrients, we see our nutrient efficiency. India has done well, I would say. Now, roughly about 27 to 28 million tons of nutrients we are using. We have gone to a level of 100, more than 100 kg per hectare. China is using 300 kg. Germany, US is using around 200 to 250. But see our efficiency compared to theirs. is more than half. This efficiency will have to be doubled, and there are causes. We are still broadcasting. Mechanization is not used for it. We have to go for pelleting. We have to go for deep placement. We have to also think of decision support systems, uh, uh, green seeker or leaf chart, and there are other, and even US is using the liquid nitrogen system where waste is very less, and our emphasis also is more on nitrogenous and phosphatic fertilizers, which has led to imbalance in terms of fertilizer use. And major expenditure today is on import of the subsidies quite high, 1.64 lakh crores of investment on subsidy on fertilizers. This has to be also thought of more seriously in terms of why not we give incentive to the farmers if they use nutrients as per their need based on soil tests. Soil health cards have been issued, more than 14 crores have been issued, I am told. And but the soil uh, test also is a challenge. So in future, we will have to come up like you have for the testing of our blood, the private, you know, entrepreneurs to do your uh, uh, medical tests. Uh, why not? The testing is done for whether quality of seed or whether it is quality of fertilizer and so on. And then why, if I need in my soil uh, for being alkaline, use of gypsum, then I don't have any subsidy. But if I use nitrogen, even if it is not required, I have subsidy. So this disconnect also has to be corrected. Protected cultivation is one way by which we can increase production substantially. China has gone aggressively and covered now 2 million hectare area. In India, after 25 years, it is hardly up to 70,000 hectares. How much it will take, how many decades it will take to reach even 1 million hectare? This also would require the investment, and investment people are willing, but it would require technical backstopping, would require also the private extension and youth to link to the market and so on. In the past, ecosystem approach has helped us a great deal. Rice and sugarcane were never grown in North, groundnut never in Gujarat, and so on. Potato in Indo-Gangetic plains, maize in Bihar and Eastern India, soybean in Central. I think now we will have to diversify our rice wheat system in the green revolution belt. And we will have to also capitalize the opportunities that are available in Eastern India by taking maize, mustard, lentil more aggressive manner. We need really to move forward and make a difference, policy reforms. And these policy reforms, what is the way today to bring in policy reforms? It seems there is a concern uh, with regard to convincing the policymakers. Our leaders have to convince, the science-based evidences have to be provided, and probably we need to also have neutral think tanks which can debate on issues more rationally and in unbiased manner and provide the recommendations to the policymakers to think in different directions. There are efforts in this regard, but more is required. Even in the UN Food System Summit held 2 years back, this point was flagged, and even in G20 it came up very aggressively that you need to have more think tanks for policy advocacy and public awareness at the national level in different countries, particularly in developing countries. What else can be done for policy advocacy? Government itself constituted a committee. We gave, Dr. Kaundinya made a reference of it. We gave a recommendation, and the committee was only for providing secure and sustainable agriculture for our resource poor farmers. There we suggested that we need to revisit the National Agriculture Policy, which was formed in 2000. Now our policy should be for 2047. We have a farmer policy, but not yet approved by Parliament, though given by Swaminathan Committee. And why do we have two policies? Why not one policy on agriculture and farmers' welfare? We need to also revisit the initiatives which are there by government towards no poverty and zero hunger. Two national acts are very important. Manrega, which provides income to the people, poor people, employment of 100 days, which actually is not happening today. The requirement of Manrega is 2.71 lakh crores, but allocation for the last 2, 3, 4 years is ranging between 98,000 crores, and the recent allocation is only 60,000 crores. National Food Security Act, I think again very innovative to provide food to those who cannot afford, and we are very proud to say that we are covering 67% of our population, almost 800 million people, providing free 5 kg food, and annual budget is around rupees 2 lakh crore. But are these 800 people really below poverty line? Should it not be revisited? It was good to start, but now it seems it helps the policymakers to go in supporting this kind of approach, whereas it is needed or not. Other programs are there, which are also providing food and midday meal scheme, and these programs are there for long. I have talked about incentives in place of current subsidies. For input use efficiency, we must try to use subsidies as incentive for fertilizer use on soil test basis. If a farmer does laser leveling, then he helps in reducing the water use, or Ferticum seed drill. Then obviously when he uses the seed drill, then efficiency improves in terms of nutrient use, micro irrigation, use of solar energy, or for crop diversification, use of legumes, conservation agriculture, agri-horticulture, agroforestry, climate smart agriculture. And our committee worked out that if the existing subsidies are converted into incentive and given to the farmers, even up to 10,000 per acre per family, up to a maximum of 10 acres can be provided, which really will help farmer to think as to where he will invest and what technology will be more useful to him. We need institutional reforms, like we say agriculture is a state subject. My time is actually up. I would like to wind up very quickly. 47 minutes, I think, are over. Please bear with me for another 4 or 5 minutes. Agriculture is a state subject. If water is needed in Delhi today, water for drinking is not available. But other states having it in Punjab and Haryana would not give. Kaveri water, Tamil Nadu will not get. So these issues, who are going to decide? Now, if it is fertilizer, we decide at central level. If it is water, also it should become a national asset. And therefore, we must also have a system like what we have GST Council, a council created for national agriculture development and farmers welfare, to be added at the highest level where all policy makers are there and decisions are taken. If it is land consolidation, if it is an issue of seed distribution, if it is issue of water efficiency, then farmers need not come on the road to talk about their problems. We must have a farmers welfare commission at the national and state level, which can have interface with the farmers and advise government from time to time. We also need better monitoring and evaluation of all the programs in agriculture. Many of them have not been reviewed for last more than 50 years. Will they continue indefinitely? And then we also have to think in terms of revisiting missions. Missions have lost their missionary gene, and therefore mission to be made in mission mode is now critical. A revisit is required. We need to export. Luckily, India has global and rather robust internal market. Countries like Brazil or New Zealand or Australia would not have survived if they had produced what they are producing so much, if they were not able to export. Luckily, we say we are the largest exporter of milk, but milk and milk products export is hardly 1%. There are potentials and possibilities, meat possibility. What we were exporting in 2001 and what we are exporting in 2022, entirely scenario has changed. And therefore, we will have to have a long-term, it's not switch on and switch off policy, which currently we are observing to capitalize on globalization. Others would not depend on us if we are not stable suppliers of our produce. So a long-term import-export strategy will be necessary. We will have to, as I said, motivate and attract youth. Who will make these changes? These changes will be all through our youth. And fortunately, India has more youth in rural areas. Around 200 million youth are in rural India, total about 400, which we have. We are having higher than China. This is our strength. But they have no jobs, they have no opportunities, they have no directions. We have to retain them. Sometimes there are debates that they should be taken out, and taken out where? The farmers should be taken out of agriculture, taken out where? They will be beggars tomorrow. What skill do they have? So we have to see that youth is retained in agriculture, including women. They become extension agents, paid extension agents. They become input provider, and they become entrepreneurs who produce inputs. Produce input where it is required. So, but that will require institutional backstopping by our universities, the vocational training programs by these institutions, and also mentoring and handholding, and also easy credit. Farmer can never be linked directly unless there are opportunities by some of these entrepreneurs to come forward and help these FPOs or form FPOs, and these FPOs link themselves to the market. Those who have linked to the market have progressed. Those who could not have really failed. So FPO is an opportunity, cooperatives is an opportunity, contract farming is an opportunity, and these are the ones where we need private sector to come forward more aggressively. Finally, policy decisions are needed. Farmer first, I have talked. We need EXIM policy. We need also corporate social responsibility linked to advisory services, support for training to youth for all those which I talked, and energy, water, and fertilizer used to be more efficient. We also have to look at our land leasing act. The tenant would never invest if he is not sure of his tenancy for a longer period. And the owner is not happy if tenancy is given for long period. So you require an act which is making both of them comfortable, and there is more investment by even tenants in agriculture sector. We have to strengthen public-private partnership, increase investment, convert subsidies into incentive, value addition and food processing, without which we will not be able to capitalize and make our system more efficient. Alternative products such as ethanol, additive, beauty products, and government has allowed now 20% of biofuel to be admixed with petrol. This is an opportunity. We seem to have achieved around 10%, but 20% target is still to be achieved. We have opportunities through maize and sugarcane, which can then be diverted. But then, if they are diverted for value addition, then it is not the farmer who is gaining. It is again the industry which gains. So how farmer these gains can be retained or made available will also have to be thought of. Promote youth as agri-entrepreneur, knowledge input provider. And finally, we all are targeting for 5 trillion economy. And if we continue making progress in agriculture and see that it contributes around 20% from present 15 to 17 to attain the target of 20%, I'm sure we will be able to provide 1 trillion economy to the nation. And that's what is our objective. And what finally is required is to coordinate efforts on reforms, improved governance, mobilizing more resources, incentives for sustainable practices, ease for doing business. We need market reforms. In fact, this is high time that we need market reforms, and we should revisit whatever market reforms were brought in. They need to be again revisited and iron out those which are the issues of concern. But without linking farmer to market, there will be no future. Public-private partnership is another aspect, and I see that our future will continue depending on agriculture, nutrition, also will be through agriculture, and environmental security will also be there through agriculture. Provided we continue making efforts the way we did, but it seems we have been performing when there had been crisis. When there is no crisis, then to think what we would be able to do is the right step, and that's what approach we should now try to adopt while we move forward to become Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for the enlightening and insightful talk. We now move on to the Q&A sessions. Firstly, thank you so much for the overwhelming questions coming in. We have put down a few questions. So I'll take them one by one, and we'll try to answer as many as we can in the interest of time. And the rest, you may please email them to us, and we'll be happy to get them answered by Dr. Paroda. Okay. So the first question is question by Mr. Prasad from Embassy of Netherlands. How can the Indian seed industry contribute towards reducing post-harvest losses and enhancing value chain, developing seeds for increasing shelf life of produce and resilient to climate infestation, etc.?
Well, I think our seed industry is now come a long way, thanks to, again, the policy support that was provided from time to time. And today we have a robust seed sector in India, starting from Seed Act, then also the new seed policy, and then through plant variety protection, enabling environment has been provided. And it is very clear that now you need seed in case of wheat, which is heat tolerant, so that there is no loss in terms of yield potential. Also, we require now the technologies where you can go in for increasing the shelf life of the produce, whether it is fruit or uh, then packaging, marketing. Sky is the limit there. Seed sector is not only seed, but I would say also planting material. And uh, good quality planting material, which is viral free, is required. And uh, I am myself a farmer now, having arid horticulture. And if once a farmer gets any bad quality sapling, uh, it is a permanent damage to them. So you require better quality. And what I see, there are opportunities now through genome editing, through partnership with the private sector, to have the opportunities of taking the new seeds and replacing the old varieties as faster as possible in the areas, and have higher replacement rate, especially where it is needed. And hybrid technology, GM technology, sky is the limit, and the only private sector will be able to make a difference there.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is by Dr. Narendra Patil from Seedworks. There is a significant gap between the potential yield of improved crop varieties and the actual harvested yield by the farmers, which is reducing total production and average productivity. How do you think this can be addressed?
Yeah, we did this analysis about 6 months back, yield gap analysis in different crops. And there is a report available on our website. Those who are interested can kindly go through. I would say that first thing, if there is a yield gap, I see this as an opportunity.
There's one question.
I see this as an opportunity because you can then identify ecoregions and the specific constraints that are there, which can increase the production further. In Punjab and Haryana, I have recently seen a number of farmers using the improved varieties of wheat, harvesting about 9 tons, whereas average currently which we have is stuck up at 4.5 to 5 tons, which means 4-ton gap can be met, which would require innovative approaches and sustainable agriculture practices, where they have gone in for balanced nutrient use, also for good quality seed, and where they have also used the biofertilizers. So it is not an issue of biofertilizer versus the inorganic fertilizers. It is both. And where both have been used rationally, so we have to therefore identify, one thing is good, that there is yield potential. And second thing is that we have the capacity to convince our farmers to harness those technologies. But to the farmer, how these technologies reach is a concern and question. And that's where is the challenge. And many times you have to also think of, like in rice, why 44 million hectare area under rice we should have? Under the rain-fed rice, maybe we can think of other crops which can give you more better productivity and more income.
There's another question by Mr. So we have merged two questions because they were quite similar. So it's from Mr. Alok and Mr. Hari Gaur from Galgotia University. Incidences of long and intense heat spells are resulting in grain shrinking, sharpiness, and increasing pest and disease attacks, etc. Charges in spatial temporal distribution of rains and frequency of cyclones have increased. In such uncertainty, how, according to you, will agri production reach 500 metric tons by 2047?
Yeah, I think I did mention that we have second generation problems and they will have to be addressed. And if it is more pests and diseases, on one side, we want to utilize, there is no possibility of horizontal expansion in agriculture in India now. For last 3 decades, we have stuck up at 140 million hectares. We have to also increase cropping intensity to increase income. And when you go in for these approaches, our climate also is tropical and subtropical. And tropical climate harbors more of insect pests and diseases. But then we have also resistant materials available. And there we also have to think in terms of going in more strategically to address these concerns, whether through, I would say, genetically modified crops, whether through more, the genetic resources do provide ample opportunities for transferring genes. So through gene editing, and for that, ample opportunities are there. It is not, say, hit and trial method, which as breeders during my time we used to adopt. Now it is a very precision genetic enhancement approaches that are available, and resistant sources are available. So I would be not, even for temperature, high temperature or cold tolerance, or even flood situation in rice, you have opportunities, or salt tolerance. So these materials are available, and our researchers are working. We will have to provide the opportunities now for both private and public sector through establishing the what you call the technology parks at these institutions, where these kinds of initiatives can be taken to achieve those targets, which otherwise are likely to be a challenge in future.
So the next question is by Mr. P.J. Kulkarni from Seedworks. There is a significant delay in commercialization of new transgenic traits in India, even after scientifically proven to be safe. What strategy do you suggest to get this done practically for benefit of farmers and encourage the seed industry to invest more in research and development?
I think I did address this, that we certainly have to convince not only policymakers but also the public.
Yeah, Raghuvan.
And
Hello.
and I see that informed knowledge to public is more important with regard to benefits of these, because many times they are guided by ill-informed agenda or approach by anti-GM lobby. In that respect, our one is to promote research in that direction, and that direction also would now require the partnership. Like if tomorrow we have CRISPR-Cas edited materials available, like in banana at Nabi, it cannot be taken to the farmer unless there is a partnership with Corteva or for those who hold the patent. First is that partnership. Second is then we have to also convince the policymakers like we convinced for genome editing for SDN1 and SDN2 to be not to be covered under regulatory system. So these approaches will have to be taken up. We will have to also uh, convince the policymakers that there is no other way but to go in to support. And that support, because you are on one way, on one side you are importing soya bean, which is GM soya, and you are then using it not as a food here, but as oil, and you are consuming. So when you are consuming, importing, there is no concern. But if farmer produces it here, then there is concern. So these issues would require a dialogue, and there has to be a forum, a forum of intellectuals and also private sector, because sometimes private sector when goes and tries to talk about their technology, it may be considered as if they are interested in their own product to be promoted. But then it has to be taken up more logically and rationally. And I'm sure policymakers do understand and listen. I have never had any problem in convincing them. But for that, you require the leadership and strong leadership, and also you require the partnership and partnership to come together and work, for which time is ripe today than the time when we started importing or promoting the BT cotton technology. If that time anti-lobby would have not allowed it, we didn't have any case to talk about having GM crops in India.
Thank you so much, sir. There's a question from Mr. Chandrasekhar Varsalve. What are the role and challenges of IPR in protecting and promoting innovations? How can ecosystem be improved?
Very important question which is raised, because for innovation to be promoted, protection is the key requirement. And we have to provide a kind of enabling environment and assurance that whatever you innovate, you will be able to reap the benefits of the expenses that you have met with. And in that respect, I think India has come up well, is trying to provide, we have the IPR in place. We also have patents being now granted, and we have plant variety protection and farmers' right act put in place in agriculture. We would require similar act for livestock as well, because so many useful breeds are there, and they need to be protected, and then they can promote the private breeders to come up with in the livestock sector as well. So there are opportunities in plants, in animals, also in fish, and I see the scenario is much better today than what it was when we had harnessed Green Revolution. And we have biodiversity act as well. So the acts have been put in place. The question is whether these acts are just for controlling or for assisting. So that part also has to be debated and discussed, and probably those who are there, because when you talk of, say, quarantine, the best quarantine is allow no import. Otherwise, you will be risking something. Any seed, no seed imported, best quarantine. But Quarantine means import and salvage it if there is a problem.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Dr. Deepak Prem from Bayer Crop Science. We have achieved self-sufficiency in food crops and enough food is available for our population. We are leading exporters in many crops. Now, Indian agriculture needs another revolution to bridge the nutrition gap. What, according to you, and how this should be approached?
I think I have tried to talk mostly some of these issues which have been raised. That now we have to do business differently. The laurels of past would not help us just by claiming that we achieved this and that. Our problems are very, very clearly defined and they are to be addressed on priority. We have to make agriculture more precision oriented. We have to bring in efficiency. We have to mechanize the system. Maybe it would not be within the realm of smallholder farmers, but we may have to have a collective effort or form farmer producer organization or cooperatives and assist them through, like if it is conservation agriculture in rice wheat system for in situ conservation using happy seeder. Every farmer will not be able to because the lead time required is 15 to 20 days or a month. So that has to be subsidized. For that, there has to be custom hire centers. Youth can be provided these opportunities, and not only they depend on one equipment, but large number of equipments. Today on my farm, I don't have my own tractor or animals, but I just telephone and get a tractor in no time to till my land at a given cost. So any farmer will be willing to tomorrow, if somebody comes for spraying on my, orchard, I get a tractor mounted with the drum and the system for spraying, and just you spray it, use for 1 hour and pay to him in no time. Why should I spend on it? So these opportunities would be needed, and more of these opportunities, and that's why I say government system will not be able to provide the technologies which are related to specialty and secondary agriculture. There you would require private sector extension to come forward in a big way.
Thank you, sir. In the interest of time, we'll take last two questions. The next one is by Dr. Arvind Kapoor. Improving fertilizer use efficiency balance between biofertilizers and inorganic fertilizers using nano-based fertilizers, both macro and micro, will help in reducing the gap between potential and actual yield, is his question.
Yeah, I think efforts are already in that direction. Government has already allowed nano fertilizers. Only thing is that how much acceptance of this technology and whether there are opportunities to use. Say I purchase myself fertilizer from IFCO center, and then were told that you have to also buy one bottle of nano. So brought nano, but what to do of this one bottle? You do pay, all right, but the question is that then there should be also a support system where this bottle of can help the farmer to save on his nutrient by spraying through drone. So where are the drones? how much technology is perfect there. So these kinds of gaps sometimes can be, counterproductive for a technology if they are bottom up, if they are, sorry, top down. So they have to be bottom up, that we are prepared for, like biofertilizers. Now, lot of emphasis there. But how much biofertilizer will replace the inorganic fertilizer? One has to understand that. Not that we just say now, don't do anything, just go in for biofertilizer. If I want to use cow dung on my farm, from where do I get? So it is good. I know it is good, but then it should be also cost effective. It should be available. And if you talk of rhizobium culture, uh, from where do I buy, or trichoderma, and whether it is quality-wise viable when I use it. So there are options, but then you require to bridge these gaps. And sometimes the initiatives that are there, if not based on field tests and imposed, can be counterproductive.
No, it's okay.
Thank you, sir. In the interest of time, you may please email your questions to us, and we'll be very happy to get them answered. We'll try our best. And thank you so much, sir, once again. And thank you, everyone, for your engaging questions. It has indeed been a very informative session. Now, to conclude the event, I would like to request Mr. Rajvir Rathi, the Vice Chairman of FSII, to share his closing remarks. Please, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Rupi, and good afternoon once again. And I know that we changed the format and we try to put in sufficient time for Q&A, but I'm sure everyone will agree that no time is sufficient when it comes to agriculture, and when it comes especially to the Indian agriculture, and with the galaxy of eminent scientists. Just on the task which has been given to me is to put the concluding remarks. So I'll just take a few minutes. I know it's more than an hour or so, hour and a half. And I'm really honored and privileged to be part of this leadership talk webinar series 1. And it's really a great honor for all of us to start this webinar series 1 with our Honorable Dr. R S Paroda, who is Padma Bhushan awardee. And he's also the founding chairman for Trust for Advancement of Agriculture Sciences. And we all know that during his tenure as DG ICAR and secretary there, a lot of things has been transformed, and we are still witnessing that. The topic for this first leadership talk, which is being titled as Innovation for Transformation of Agri-Food System, an agenda for Amrit Kaal, is really apt and really relevant topic for today for all of us. Dr. Paroda, in his talk, reminded us about our journey of witnessing a lot of progress which has been made in the agriculture sector. From the day of net food importer to become sufficient, and today we are exporter in many areas. Like, and Dr. Paroda talked about that we have reached more than 55 billion and likely to cross 100 billion in the coming years. The way we are progressing, but at the same time, if we start post 1947, we have seen and experienced many famines, challenges. But at the same time, I think hats off to the agriculture system and the scientists who has worked upon. They were highly successful converting those challenges into opportunities, which has led to a lot of success stories. If we talk about the green revolution, the white revolution, the blue revolution, and so on and so forth. And that has really put India at a global map, saying that, okay, look how these smallholders can contribute if we put the right things at the right place and in the right order. Although we have seen a lot of challenges with that. And then that's where, where Dr. Paroda has brought the discussion to a stage, saying that, okay, the current challenges and the likely future challenges, what we see, and that's where he stressed the need to work, as he rightly said, that in a mission mode kind of a thing, we need to work through collaboration and partnership model to reorient the Indian agriculture by scaling innovations through stable policy interventions, having the inclusivity and sustainability at the core of the center. Just to conclude, he has stressed the need for contributing or deploying the innovation on a sustainable manner in three key areas. One is, of course, for the innovation in the innovations for resilience in agriculture, where he's focused on three major areas. One is the precision farming. That's where you can optimize the resources, the input, and also the cost saving. And also, when you do the precision, you can predict a little bit in a better way what is the likely outcome, so that you can plan in a better way, in an advanced way. The second thing within that is the agriculture biotechnology, like what additional tool is available with us, whether we have seen the success story of biotech, how it can be replicated, gene-edited products, new breeding technologies which are just coming up. And that's where we also emphasize the need for its IP protection as well, so that the innovator keep on churning back and R&D spend is increased to a level where the products are coming up to address the current challenge and the future challenge as well. And the other part where he said is the vertical farming and the controlled environment in the agriculture, that's where he has given an example. And to be honest, it was an eye-opening that 70,000 hectares controlled farming or the covered farming versus 2 million in China. I think there's a big scope where government is also working. That's where I think that's one area which can really be helpful. The second innovation deployment for sustainable production system, that's where you emphasized on regenerative agriculture. I think it's really good for soil health, leading to the sustainable food production. Like I think it's part of SDGs, and I think it's a responsibility for all of us. And I think some of these things has been already converted into an action, whether it's in DSR, carbon, and so on and so forth, where people are still working on that. Circular economy, I think everyone knows about it, that how important it is. The third bigger bucket is innovation for equitable production system. And how to do it is that, through 3-4 key focus areas, like, either it's digital platform and e-commerce, and the bigger beneficiary will be the smallholder. The more the smallholder is successful, the more the agriculture will be successful. The other two parts within that is the financial inclusion and, of course, the knowledge sharing and the capacity building and the skill building, like Dr. Paroda had just talked about how important it is and to keep and retain the youth in an agriculture. And I remember that, and except still we use it, as and when the opportunity arises over there. With this, before I handing over back to Surabhi, let me also take an opportunity to thank each and everyone, and Dr. Paroda, and then the TAAS people to take this opportunity, and the people who are present over there and fully listening to that. And I'm looking, it was more than 130 or 35 key people, if I'm not wrong, so we can reconfirm, and I think it's really a good number. And just to conclude the event, Surabhi, back to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those thoughtful concluding remarks. This brings us to the end of the Leadership Talk webinar series, episode 1 today. We shall be back with episode 2 super soon. On behalf of the Federation of Seed Industry of India, I would like to thank Dr. Raj S Paroda for his valuable time and insights, and our esteemed leaders for their contributions, and all of you for participating. We shall be back and we shall be sharing an email containing pointers from Dr. Paroda's speech today, along with the entire recording of the webinar today. We at FSII look forward to seeing you at our future events. Signing off for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now, sir, 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
2 minutes.
Thank you.